Ever get that feeling, standing by the water, watching those gigantic cargo ships coming in?
Yeah.
It's like they dwarf everything. Even the skyscrapers look tiny next to them. Makes you realize there's this whole world of logistics happening that most of us never even think about. And that's what we're diving into today, the crucial role of a ship pilot dispatcher.
Right, you see those massive ships moving so gracefully, but it's like a perfectly timed ballet, and the ship pilot dispatcher, they're the ones behind the scenes making sure everything runs smoothly and safely right on schedule.
Okay, so you're like the unseen conductor of this maritime orchestra.
Exactly.
But what's the baton look like? What does a typical day actually involve for a ship pilot dispatcher?
Yeah. Well, it's a constant flow of communication, problem solving, and serious attention to detail. Imagine you're juggling real-time updates from ships out at sea, coordinating with tugboat companies to maneuver these huge vessels into their docks.
Wow, it's a dance.
It is, and on top of that, you're making sure every single movement follows all the port regulations and safety protocols. So it's not just knowing the waters, it's knowing the ins and outs of a global trade hub.
You know, as you were talking, I was going through the research you sent, and there's this thing in the RoleCatcher guide about a tariff book. I don't know why, but in my head, I'm picturing something ancient and leather-bound. What is that all about?
Well, it's not quite ancient history, haha. But it really is the heart of their billing system. Think of it like I don't know, a really detailed menu for their services. Every maneuver, every hour of docking time, all of that gets calculated into the final cost for the ship. And the ship pilot dispatcher, they're the ones making sure those calculations are accurate, transparent, everyone's on the same page, and that it reflects all the services they provided.
So there's a surprising amount of financial responsibility involved in this.
Oh, absolutely. You wouldn't believe the level of responsibility they give you straight out of the gate. We're talking access to sensitive financial data, official ship logs. It's a level of trust you don't see in many entry-level positions.
Wow, that is wild. And with all these moving parts, literally, I imagine the technology they're using is pretty intense. Are we talking like radar screens and walkie-talkies, like in the movies?
It's funny you should say that.
Yeah.
Remember those old movies? Yeah, with the guys huddled around squinting at crackling radios.
Right.
Forget that. Today, it's all high-tech. We're talking about real-time digital mapping, AI-assisted routing. Even some ports are using remote-controlled tugboats now. It's light years ahead of what most people picture.
It's amazing how much technology has changed the game for these more traditional industries, you know?
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, though, what does that mean for the people actually working in those fields? Like, are we talking years of experience just to get your foot in the door? Or can someone with the right skills, can they jump in and thrive?
That's a great question, and it highlights a real opportunity in this field, actually. See, while experience is always going to be valuable, the maritime world, it's facing kind of a generational shift right now. You've got a lot of these really experienced dispatchers who are getting ready to retire.
Right.
So that's creating space for new people to come in, people who are tech savvy and have that critical thinking ability.
So it's not just knowing how to use the technology, it's knowing how to use it well
Exactly.
to solve those problems and anticipate challenges before they even happen, make those split-second decisions.
Precisely. And that's where you see the real career progression, That RoleCatcher guide, they mentioned a clear path, starting with assistant roles where you're learning the ropes from the ground up, but then you can move up, eventually leading a team, managing those really complex projects, even shaping port policy. Can you believe that?
So you could start by just keeping those ships moving, but end up moving the whole industry forward.
That's the thing.
Wow, that's exciting. But okay, let's say, hypothetically, someone dives into this world headfirst,
Okay.
learns the tech, masters it, maybe even gets their captain's hat.
Okay, yeah.
But then, down the line, they realize the port life just isn't for them. Then what? What do they do with all that experience?
Well, that's where this role really shines. It's surprisingly versatile. Think about the core skills you'd be developing. Communication, logistics, problem solving under pressure, all those things.
Right, yeah.
Those are transferable to so many other industries.
It's like you were saying earlier, they're not just managing ships, it's more about managing systems.
Exactly.
And those systems, those are everywhere.
Precisely. In fact, the guide even pointed out some related roles, like vessel operations coordinator,
Okay.
or even making a lateral move into something like rail logistics coordination.
Oh, wow.
Those skills translate really well.
Yeah, that's huge. So you could go from coordinating oil tankers to managing freight trains. That opens up a lot of possibilities, whether you're just starting out or even if you're thinking about a total career change. But okay, let's get practical for a second. Let's say our listener is hooked. They're ready to dive into this ship pilot dispatcher world. What's step one? What advice would you give them? So for someone out there listening who's thinking, all right, sign me up. Where do we even start with this?
You know, the RoleCatcher guide, they had a really helpful section on interview prep. I think that's a great place to begin.
Okay.
They actually listed out common ship pilot dispatcher interview
Oh,
questions.
wow. Like what?
Things like, how would you handle it if a ship's arrival is suddenly delayed and it causes this whole domino effect on all the other movements you've got planned?
Oh, wow. Yeah, getting specific. I can see how practicing for those kinds of scenarios would be really valuable.
Absolutely, because it's not just about knowing the right answer. It's about showing them that you can think on your feet, right? You can prioritize when things get crazy
Mhm.
and communicate clearly under pressure, which, as we've been talking about.
Right, it's kind of the whole job.
Yeah, it's basically the entire job description, right?
Exactly. And speaking of technology, didn't RoleCatcher also have that AI-powered feedback tool?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Something about analyzing your interview responses.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. You can actually record yourself answering those practice questions, and the AI will give you feedback on how clearly you're getting your point across, your tone of voice,
Wow.
even like your body language. If you're doing a video interview, it's like having a personal coach, but in your pocket.
That's incredible. It's amazing how accessible these tools are becoming. This whole deep dive has really been eye-opening. I had no idea about this world. We've gone from picturing those busy docks to these high-tech control rooms. We talked about different career paths, transferable skills. It makes you realize there's so much to discover about ship pilot dispatchers.
Absolutely. It just goes to show there's always something new to learn, right? And
Yeah.
with all the technology that's constantly evolving, who knows what exciting advancements are coming down the line for the maritime world. It's a career path with a real future, that's for sure.
Absolutely. A big thanks to you for navigating these waters with us today.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
And to everyone listening, we hope this deep dive has given you a new appreciation for this kind of behind-the-scenes world of ship pilot dispatchers, and maybe even inspired you to chart your own course in this field. Until next time, keep exploring.